Now, Don DeBar, radio host and journalist with CPR News, is now joining me. Good to have you with us, Don. So, this has been going on for quite some time. Multiple fronts in the region, resistance fighters, be it those in Yemen, Hezbollah in Lebanon, and also Iraq. We have PMU launching operations against U.S. bases. Now we have U.S. hitting back. In response, it's claimed some civilians' lives as well. So, how do you see this process move on? And Baghdad government is worried that this could harm the relations between the two.
Well, it's difficult to imagine the relations being worse. 90 days from now, plus or minus a week, we will see the 21st anniversary of shock and awe and the essentially 21-year phase of the U.S. war on Iraq. In other words, people who were born during shock and awe will reach the age of 21 in March of this coming year. So incidents like this have been ongoing. There are still U.S. occupation force in Iraq that is, involved in this exchange. Basically, you have nominally they say 2,500 troop support and military support and training personnel. In fact, it's an occupation army. It makes sure that the government does what it's told and allows the favorable oil transactions to continue that have been taking place more or less since Iraq was occupied for the first time in 1991. The entire region, of course, is engaged in some sort of hostilities with the United States, with Israel massacring the Palestinians, and with the people in the region being told to choose up sides, with most of the people in the region favoring the Palestinian cause, seeing it as their own, and a lot of the governments being quisling governments that have been installed to manage the region and the petrochemical supplies and the supply routes for that. So you have a condition of contradiction between the governments and the people there. Iraq has been walking a tightrope since the U.S. occupation. The U.S. has not been driven out of Iraq yet, and so there is an ambiguous relationship at best with the current Iraq government and the U.S. government. We don't know how this is going to resolve yet, but it seems to be part of the whole cloth that's evolving in that region at the moment.
Don, why should the U.S. decide to actually take the rap? Because this is all because of its full-fledged support for Israel, isn't it? And the genocidal war that's being waged on Gaza. U.S. is being hit, and because this is a U.S.-Israeli genocidal war on Gaza.
Well, you have an occupied people, first of all, who, we were told this fantasy wall to wall by generals and public relations geniuses and newscasters and politicians alike, that when the U.S. troops arrived in Baghdad in 2003, that they were going to be greeted by the people of Iraq, who would place flowers in their gun barrels and ask them home for dinner and such. They were going to be welcomed there. In fact, the Iraqi people have been fighting that occupation since the first one of the American soldiers showed up there and got blown to bits for his trouble. And so this condition hasn't resolved itself because the U.S. is still there. The relationship that the U.S. has with the Iraqi government is a product more of the occupation than of the Iraqi people. And so the condition of the Iraqi people at the hands of the U.S. is not exactly the kind of relationship that would foster friendship, fraternity, and warmth. The very thing that the Iraqi government talks about, the damage to relationship between the two countries. In fact, that relationship is one of master and slave, and the slaves are trying to throw it off.
Right.